it is quite the day here in Texas. Not too bad, as the apocalypse was supposed to descend upon us for the upcoming eclipse. They actually shut down the university for Monday, thinking all the traffic and everything, and they thought it was going to be over the weekend, and yet it's pretty quiet out there.
Nothing here, but we did intentionally not go on up to Fort Worth today because we thought about going to the botanical gardens because it really was pretty nice out there.
Yeah.
Nice overcast, not too hot, little windy.
Yeah. Not great eclipse watching weather, as it's almost completely overcast.
Oh, that's true. But I mean, the eclipse is on Monday, so we'll see. But we were afraid if all those vast amounts of people that they're predicting are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area for that, we figured they'd also be here for the weekend and would be going places like the botanical gardens or just be going places in general and
driving through and traffic. But
no. It's really bad enough driving in Fort Worth anyways without extra people.
Yeah.
Yes.
But no, nothing. It's just a typical quiet weekend here in Keene, Texas.
Keene is very quiet.
Yeah. Although we are, I think, dead center of the totality path. Well, we'll see, I guess. But yeah, nothing too, too big to deal with yet. But we'll see if people come out of the woodwork and start lining up the highways. And I don't know, they said they were going to be tons and tons of people here in the university, and I guess they're opening the observatory. The university has an observatory, a small one, and they're having that open for it. And I imagine that's going to be mostly local people. I don't imagine anyone's traveling to Southwestern Adventist University for their observatory, but probably those that know about it here, locally, are going to all go over there. And I guess I don't know how long the thing's going to last. If it's only like 3 minutes, if they're just going to line people up and say, take a look, out of the way, take a look, out of the way, take a look, out of the way, and just try and get people through the telescope. I don't know.
I have no idea.
What are we doing?
What are we doing? Well, if it's really, truly is crowded, then we're just going to stay home and watch from our driveway. And then again, it may very well be overcast because there's possibility of thunderstorms on Monday here. So, but it'll get dark one way or the other, and there's that. So
yeah.
And we did have friends who were going to come, who came for the last eclipse in, when was that, October or some such thing? Yeah. And they were going to come down this week, but they decided to go to Canada instead.
Well, their last time didn't work out so well.
Well, yes, but it would have worked out better if they would have actually stayed with us. Yeah. But we were only about 80% of the total eclipse. Yeah. So they went on down. I think San Antonio was supposed to be 100%, except it was overcast and raining there. Yeah. So, but it was clear here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. Maybe we'll be on Monday as well.
Yeah, you never know. You know how those forecasts are.
You never know what's coming with the weather.
It's true. Oh, are you setting me up, Brett?
That was it, and you missed it.
I miss it. I miss it every time. We cannot disappoint the viewers.
Yeah, you never know what's coming with the weather.
Yeah, so this last week, what day was it, Brett, that we had that tornado warning? Was that Tuesday? No, because Tuesday was it Sunday?
Oh, maybe it was.
I think it was Sunday because you weren't in class or anything like that. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. They were predicting that sort of weather, and ordinarily, those sorts of things are never on time. They're always at least an hour or 2 or 3 or 5 later than they predict, or it just doesn't even happen at all.
Yeah.
And so we kind of expected that as per the usual, but then all of a sudden, they upped the time, like they moved it backwards, whatever you want to call it. Instead of starting at 8, the bad weather, they said, we'll start at 7:30. And I was eating a late dinner, and I was like, well, I do like to get my journals that I have out of the office area into the closet, that central room. if there's going to be that kind of bad weather. But you know, at the time, and who knows if there's going to be an actual tornado. It was just gently raining out there. And so I'm like, I'm going to finish my dinner and then I shall go ahead and gather up the journals and put them in there. Except no sooner had I finished up dinner than the tornado warning went off. Yes, you know that loud, shrill phone
I didn't hear
sound
it.
You didn't? Oh, I thought everybody's phone was going off. Well,
Oh,
not,
the phone. Yeah,
yeah,
I
the
did get the
phone,
phone
yeah.
notice. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I heard
didn't hear
the siren or
no.
anything. No.
Mhm.
No, but that thing goes off every Thursday or once a month on Thursdays.
Yeah, they test it and it's like, you know.
Sounds like it's in our backyard.
Yeah, didn't go off this for the real thing, but yeah.
Yeah. You're not taking
All right,
the
thanks
story?
for joining us. I appreciate your.
I was just waiting for Brett to like jump in and share his part of the story.
They were bringing weather and tornadoes, and it kept moving through the day, and finally, that night, and there came to, and we got the warning sitting on the couch. I got it, and Aspen got it, and you got it.
And then Brett, of course, as per the usual, he went outside to look at the sky to see what it looked like out there. And Aspen, of course, as per the usual, grabbed one of the cats and took her to the closet. And Brett went outside, like I said, looked at the sky, and what did you see?
Well, yeah, when it first calls, I like to go, because, they say tornado. It was a watch, and they were like, so they hadn't seen one. No, it was a watch.
It was a warning.
You said it was a watch.
No, it was a warning.
Well, if you said it was a warning, I wouldn't have gone outside.
That's not
Oh
true.
my gosh.
It's
You
not
said
true.
it was a watch, so that's why I went
not
out.
true.
I was watching outside.
That's not true. He goes outside.
This is what Aspen does. No, Daddy, it's only a watch. You can go look. He.
That's not true. He goes outside anyways. Warning, watch.
Anyway, so, yeah, I went outside. And, it was dark. You could tell it was tornado weather, but you never know if one's going to actually form. And so I was looking at the sky to see the clouds and to, feel the temperature. And, you can, if you know what to look for, you can sense a tornado to some extent, like if it's in the air. And, so, I went outside back and forth a couple of times.
Oh, but he said...
Y'all just ran to the closet.
Well,
immediately with two cats who don't want to be together.
That's not exactly how it happened.
Cats don't like each other.
He went outside, and from the usual place where the storms come across over by the university, they come across this way. He said he saw some clouds starting to swirl.
No, that was later.
Okay.
I went outside 3 times.
I know.
Yeah. You're only on the first.
No. Well, okay. I was unaware of exactly what he was doing because my plan of attack, Aspen was to save the kitty. Mine was save my journals. And so I'm busy collecting my journals. And finally, by the time he saw the circling clouds in the sky.
That was the 3rd time.
Okay. He came inside and he said.
Yeah, the first 2 times it was, you could just feel it, you can feel the temperature dropping, and you could see the clouds coming. What you have to have is you have to have wind going in different directions, since that's one of the things you're feeling for. The wind on the ground has to be going in a different direction than the wind up in the clouds. So you look for that. And, the first 2 times you kind of sort of felt it. And then the rain came, and it was pretty hard rain. And that was the 2nd time I went outside. Yeah. But by the 3rd time I went outside, while I was out there, I could see the clouds starting to, in the sky. I could see those clouds starting to turn. And it's just hard to describe rain versus tornado rain. There's a difference. And it was tornado rain. And then it started to hail. Tornado rain is more sideways than straight down, because what you have is you have wind going one way, and so it's getting pulled up. And so the rain starts coming sideways. And so instead of down or at an angle, it's really coming. So I was sitting there and I said, oh, okay, we're getting a little bit of sideways rain. And that's one step. And then it started to hail, and that's the 2nd step. The 3rd step is debris. You start seeing, stuff that's been pulled apart flying in your direction. I didn't wait for the debris. I went back to the closet because... Yeah,
this was one of the first times Brett had actually joined it. Other previous times, He wouldn't be outside watching the sky and stuff, but he never came and joined us in the closet. He was always kind of like,
you see the funnel now, then you get, you know.
Yeah. So when he actually came and joined us in the closet, I was like, oh, he thinks this is actually serious this time.
Yeah, it was for me.
And yeah, the only other time he joined us in the closet was when the very first storm when we were here. That was really a pretty bad storm, and they have predicted 100-mile wind gusts coming across. And there was a couple tornadoes, one south of us and one north of us, by not terribly far. But we were sitting in the closet, and all of a sudden he came to join us. Is because when he opened the front door again, the 100-mile wind gust went by, and he thought, oh my goodness, this might be the tornado. And so he closed it and came into the closet with us. But that was the only time in the 3 years that we've been here that he didn't join us in the closet when Aspen and I went in.
Yep.
So anyways, what was kind of interesting was that as we were sitting there, Aspen and I were sitting there without Brett at that point in time, and all of a sudden we heard that hail, or a rattling sound basically, and Aspen said, what's that? And I thought, oh, I said, that sounds like it's hail that's hitting the side of the house rather than on the roof. Yep. And so then Brett came and joined us, of course. And
that's when I said, yeah, it's coming in sideways.
Yeah, so he came in and he explained those steps that, here we are at this point in time. And what was interesting is that before that, I had prayed for peace, and I was sitting there pretty peaceful. I don't like sitting there all full of anxiety and stuff over it. When he said what he said, I thought, oh, I'm sitting here praying for peace, and I have it, and so I have not yet asked for God's protection. And I thought, okay, so if Brett thinks we're probably going to get a tornado, then, and is following the steps, then in case the roof could just be ripped off of our house, possibly, right? I need to ask for God's protection. So I said, okay, if you could send your angels and get them to stand, on the corners of our roof for us and cover us with the feathers of your wings, then we would really appreciate that. And directly after that, like it just dissipated. And within moments, there was no more hail hitting the side of the house. And all total, it just, within 10 minutes later and such, it wasn't raining anymore.
Yeah, cleared right up.
Yeah.
Got really bad down the road, though, I found out.
Oh, did it?
Yeah. So here, like we said, just cleared up. And then later I was at the rehearsal for the play, and the nursing lady, one of the faculty that's helping us, I said, yeah, I told her what happened here, and said, oh, man, it was bad, her way, which is Alvarado.
Yeah.
And which is, I don't know, what, 10 minutes?
I'd say 10 minutes from here.
And I don't know that they actually had a tornado, but you can get strong tornado-like winds still. But it didn't hit here. It was forming here, and then it just dissipated, and then it must have picked up again out their way, because it was a lot more rural out there. And so she said they had, fields and trees and stuff. Nobody's houses were, damaged and stuff. But said the winds were really strong, and a bunch of trees and everything went down, and they lost power for a couple hours.
Yeah. Overall, considering the hail was hitting us sideways and such like that, then
it was like, bam,
yeah,
it's over.
It was. It just went from that to dissipating into nothing.
Yeah.
So, and the funny thing was, it's another one of those times when you're just like, the magnitude of that doesn't hit you until a lot later. Yeah. And all of a sudden you're like, wait, that really did happen. Yeah. So, it's easy enough. When we lived in Lincoln, we had a basement, and of course that's tornado territory up there as well. I remember once in particular.
It's not.
Well, they certainly get plenty of them.
They do get plenty of them.
Yes.
Texas is the state with the most tornadoes.
Oh, really? With the most?
Yeah, we have the most tornadoes in Texas. But we have, on the other side, we have the down towards the bottom, least amount of damage.
Oh, well, that's nice. Of course, there's probably a lot more open space down here without people in it.
I'm guessing the topography has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
And although it's weird, I think Alabama is the highest. They don't have as many tornadoes, near as many, actually. They're way down. But they have the highest amount of damage and loss of property. I'm guessing because there's lots of trailer parks in Alabama, but we have our fair share here as well.
Mm-hmm.
But topography has a lot to do with it because Alabama doesn't have as much wide open spaces and flat spaces as we do. But Nebraska was mid-range.
Oh, right, yeah. It's not as though they have lots of tornadoes, but we certainly had tornado warnings on occasion. And when spring and summer rolled around, you kind of were aware that there was that kind of weather probably coming at some point in time.
Let's do an educational test and see if the money we're paying for that private education is paying off. Aspen, where in the world, in the entire world, what country has the most tornadoes?
Is it in the Middle East?
Dun, 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 dun.
Did you learn that when you were in school, or did you just happen to find that on the internet
No, actually, when I was in high school, I learned
really?
that. It kind of stuck with me. Yeah, it's because the U.S. has more tornadoes than all the other countries combined.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, that makes sense. But that's because I feel like part of it's because the U.S. is so much bigger than these other countries, so they have more space to have more tornadoes.
That's true. I mean, really, when you think of Texas having the most tornadoes, Texas is really, really, really big.
There could be like another little.
Have you seen an actual true to size map of the world?
No, we don't have those.
The United States can fit inside many other countries.
Well, yes, it can, but not the majority.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you too can have this kind of education for your children. No, there are way bigger places that, if it was size, Russia should have way more tornadoes than us.
Well, it's not about size.
Asia would have more, No. What is it about? You don't know. Why am I asking?
You're not understanding what I'm saying.
The thing is, the United States is one of the only places in the world that has the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean. And so it's the warm, dry air from the Gulf of Mexico. It's the warm, moist air from the Caribbean, right up next to the Rocky Mountains and the jet stream, which comes down and bringing cold air into a fast jet stream. And when they collide, you can get thunderstorms, and that's the perfect recipe for tornado making. And no other places in the world have that kind of geographic setup in the scale that we do here in the U.S. So we have a ton more tornadoes than anybody else. All right, redeem thyself. We have hurricanes here. What do they have over in Japan?
Japan? They have monsoons.
It starts with I know it's not.
Tropical storms.
There you go. Yes.
Basically the same thing.
No. I could give you the answer, but I want her to look it up. It starts with a C. They have a different name for it over there.
Oh, so they're just hurricanes, but with a different name?
And they spin a different direction.
Cyclones.
Oh,
Yeah.
cyclones? We get cyclones.
We don't get cyclones. We get hurricanes. Oh my gosh.
They're the same thing.
No,
Did they spin the
please
other direction?
go on before this gets any worse.
Okay, so anyways, when we lived in Nebraska, our house had a basement. So even, it was a really bad tornado stuff in Lincoln there for one storm.
Yeah.
I mean, for hours, several hours, it just poured rain by the buckets. And just so happens our neighbor kids just happened to be over. And so they really didn't have time to get home. And so the kids were in the basement with us, so their parents were just across the backyard in their own basement. But we spent that time just watching the radar. But, you're not really so worried about your safety when you have a basement, because you, in a sense, have provided for your own safety. You haven't had to, it's different when you're sitting in a closet where one side of it is just one closet away from the outdoor wall and such. So especially when you see tornado damage on the news and such like that, you really realize that the place that you live can turn into just a heap of sticks,
Yeah, or your car, because
your car, yeah.
That was there in Lincoln that I had Randy with me that one time.
Oh yeah, that's
true. I saw, we were driving, I mean, it was like in the weather and in the news, and everybody was driving home, and I saw the tornado, and you were driving, oh, look, there it is. And I just thought it was cool. And I was like, oh, let's go. And so I started turning to her, and Randy was, your daughter was freaking out. She's like screaming, no, no, hitting me and telling me to turn around and go back to, what store was it?
Bed Bath & Beyond.
Bed Bath & Beyond, when there were Bed Bath & Beyond. We had just come from it, actually, and they were a tornado shelter they had in the, so we were trying to get home, and I saw the tornado, and oh, look, it's a tornado, and she freaked out and wouldn't let me follow the tornado, so we had to go back to Bed Bath & Beyond and sit in their, tornado shelter area, which I can tell you, if you're going to get stuck in a tornado shelter, if you have the choice to go to a Bed Bath & Beyond, that's the place to go, because they brought out, Bed Bath & Beyond has all kinds of stuff for your home and your bedroom and your garden and your, dining needs, because they brought out a bunch of cookies, a bunch of juice. They had little chairs and stuff. I mean, they were bringing out all the products they had, and we were having a little party down there in their tornado shelter area. It was a very, very well supplied experience that I didn't get to follow the tornado, but I did get, some sort of chocolate covered honey dipped cookies that were on sale.
Yeah, that's good marketing.
It was good marketing.
Good marketing for sure. Yeah. Yes. So so on to our spiritual analogy. So earlier this year, if you've been watching us at all, you'll remember that I spent 40 days more focusing on the Beatitudes, and it's nice doing that, because when you focus on something like that for a little bit longer than you ordinarily would, or just reading through them or something like that, eventually you start to have a more personal experience with it, and start to see a little more depth in that. Then I'm sure depths that millions of other people have seen, and yet it becomes more meaningful in your relationship with God, and that's really the part that counts. And so, but when I was done with that, of course, I thought, I kind of liked that. So for last month, I picked Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. And I enjoyed that one as well. That month zipped on by. And, when you first hear that text, or when you really just casually say it or think it or whatever, it can almost sound like, oh, well, I'm going to be good so that God will give me all these things, right? And yet when you really just sit there and you say it, you realize that it's not about being good so that God will give you things. It's that when you serve God, he provides all that you need, everything. He provides it all. You're not sitting in your own basement protecting yourself and feeling safe about it. Wherever you're at and whatever you're doing, God is the one there providing everything for you. So basically one of those things, money in the bank, money out of the bank, it doesn't matter. God is the one who's doing all the providing for us. And so when I finished up those 30 days, for a few days, I went back to ordinary living. And I kind of missed the focus on one thing like that. So I thought, well, 2 Corinthians 12:9 was kind of standing out. I thought, I'll just give that one a try. It can't hurt, right? It can probably only help my relationship with God. And so 2 Corinthians 12:9, but he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest upon me. Okay, so you're going to have to forgive me that this is my first week on the text. And not only that, sadly, I've not been quite as focused as I would have liked to have been, because that happens sometimes. So, first of all, we have the tendency to not always recognize our own weakness. So if we go back to the first beatitude, that's what, recognizing our spiritual poverty means that we are recognizing our spiritual weaknesses. And so unless we recognize our weakness, we will not be seeking the power of God to actually help us. So, which is a little like the disciples in the storm while Jesus was sleeping in the boat, right? They forgot that he was there. They were experienced fishermen and they were relying on their own power, right? And so they forgot, like I said, that Jesus was even there. And not only that, clearly they were unaware of his actual ability to calm the storm. Because Matthew 4:41 says, they were terrified and asked each other, afterwards, of course, after he had calmed the storm, they were terrified and they asked each other, who is this? Even the winds and the waves obey him. And so it is when we admit our weaknesses, that we discover the power of God.
Yep. And what were the disciples not experiencing in the boat that day?
Comfort.
Tornadoes, because they don't have tornadoes.
But maybe it was a cyclone.
Could have been a cyclone, I guess, yes. Yeah.
No, aren't there water spouts, aren't there?
There are water spouts, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, I've seen water spouts before. We used to have them in Lake Murray, where I grew up.
Oh, wow.
See a water spout every now and then. Yep. So anyway, be interesting. What are your plans for the eclipse?
You're asking our worldwide audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
What are your
plans? Because we know
for
what
that?
our plans are.
Because our friends didn't make it, so if you need a place, come on down.
No.
We're here.
No. I, of course, you're welcome. It's just that it's the week, the pre-play week.
Yeah.
Or pre-week. The week, 1 week before the play. Brett will be, a mess.
I am a mess, yes. We have 7 days till we go on stage, and we're not ready. But this thing about live theater, when it's showtime, you go on, ready or not. And yeah, we're going on, and we'll see what happens. We're going to stream one of them, I know. So if you want to catch the play, one of the performances, it's this weekend, Friday night, Sabbath morning, and Saturday night. One of them's going to be broadcast. I'll have to post the link on our Facebook page or something. But yeah, I don't know. It'll be next time we'll have to talk about the eclipse and spiritual ramifications of the eclipse. And
yes, it's kind of fun to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Take something from your everyday life and apply spiritual analogies.
We can definitely talk about the sinful nature of man when it comes to the eclipse, as all these stories of, we were talking our last time, Miranda, about hotels that canceled people's reservations because now they can charge, 7 times more for the room, and so with no warning or reason, they just cancel. And if you want to rebook it, it's going to cost you, some people are like thousands of dollars more. And that's just, how do you get that in your head? Oh, let's do that. We had made a contract and gave our word and promised and put on paper that we had a room for you. And now we're going to say, you know what? No, because we can make more money. So forget you. That's just, I'm sorry. That's wrong. Some people say that's capitalism. I just say that's wrong. They're doing it to the Pathfinders too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but there's the in Revelation and all that, the dark day, and eclipses have always been, associated with the end of the world. And So maybe you want to talk about that.
I guess at the end of your eyesight.
I guess when next week rolls around, we'll find out, what we're talking about.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. Hope you're having a good weekend, good Sabbath, and we'll see you here next week after the eclipse has happened, and let you know if the world is still